My Lords, I acknowledge with deep respect that those arguing for the passage of this bill are often speaking from personal experience of the pain and suffering of someone's final illness. Yet, along with many other speakers, I have deep concerns about legislating to permit the practice of assisted dying. I caution the House against the remedy of choice in this area. My concern is that the most vulnerable and those who are most vulnerable in society will become more vulnerable should this bill find its way onto the statute book. Related to this, and as a bishop, I wish to say something on the subject of life, which I believe we must consider in any bill making provisions for its termination. My Lords, in the Old Testament, the principal word for life is the Hebrew word hayim, which is a plural noun. This expression signifies both our physical life and our source in God, who is the source of all life. It is a relational term, and like most societies up until our own age, it reflects a view of life as gift and one lived out with others. It is a sign of the deep richness of the journey of life, which of course encompasses mortality and the finality which takes us to our very last breath. We need, my Lords, to be immensely careful in supporting a departure from the practice and wisdom of centuries. My Lords, the consumer age in which we now live presents us with a technology with built-in obsolescence on a narrowing time scale. It tells us that choice will make us free, but choice needs itself to be examined closely. Humanity acknowledges instead finitude, which gives our lives meaning, for we are all mortal, and each of our lives will in due course come to an end. But in this life, in the words of the general thanksgiving, we give thanks for our creation, preservation, and all the blessings of this life. That is not to ignore the imperative of compassion and assistance for those who are suffering. The Christian conviction retains the belief that life is of intrinsic value at all stages. There is never a point at which it may be said, it is not worth it, or life is not worth living. Assisted dying, my Lords, would dangerously introduce the concept of limited worth of human life into our medical practice and into our relationships. We'll be signing up to an essentially consumerist understanding of life with many potential perils. Life is to be cherished, my Lords, and for those of faith, we acknowledge life to be sacred. That is why it is imperative that we address the chronic underfunding of palliative care and resource our hospices to do the work they do with such care and dedication for those who need their services. This provision would enhance a dignified dying and should be our first priority. I cannot in all conscience support this bill.